to the social as soon as possible. Thank you all for coming. I'm Mike Sturman. I'm the division chair this year. Welcome and thank you for coming to the Research Methods Business Meeting. I want to thank all the members of the committee, our outgoing past chair, who will be our past chair soon, Lisa Lambert, our other members of the leadership team. I just feel nervous I'll forget somebody, but Brian Boyd, Brian right in front of me, Hetty Richardson, Dan Newman, and let's see, our historian, Craig Crossland. Where's our, no, he's our treasurer. Ernest O'Boyle's our historian. There we go, he's in the back. And our reps at large, Mark Monet. Mark. Okay, I'm going to make up stuff about Lyon later. Todd Alessandri, Kevin Carlson, Zhao Zhang, okay, and Karen Jackson. So really appreciate all the work the board does. They respond to emails quickly, which is wonderful, and helped us get a number of things done this year. So just sort of really going to go through the regular stuff, some updates about the division, some stuff about ORM and the ORM awards, RMD activities, keep you up to date, our recognitions, and then moving ahead to next year, which will so not be me. Key developments is, and particularly with a lot of help from Todd, we got the bylaws done and passed. So thank you all for voting on those. They passed unanimously. And we were able to update the bylaws after quite a while. So we updated with all our new awards information, our various policies and so forth. They're all available on the website if you really feel like you need to read some bylaws. But it was very important for the Academy that we get this done and get this updated. So thank you all. That was a big development. And a key contribution, the person I haven't yet introduced, is our new webmaster, which is Andrew Knight. Yep. There's Andrew Knight. Andrew is just awesome. And we have a new website. If you have not seen it yet, now you have. It looks really good. It's slick. It just is better. And Andrew deserves all the credit for doing that. So really appreciate that. That was great. And I really encourage you to go check out the website, on your way to read the bylaws. And one of the things with the website we're going to be doing is you will see over the course of this year, hopefully, we're going to be putting more content on the website. We're trying to make the website a much more user-friendly place and a useful place to go for method stuff. And particularly for like introductory readings, this kind of stuff. So we're going to be adding resources to the Research Methods site. I encourage you to check it out. Check it out over the course of the year. One of the things we'll be doing is relaunching Measures Chest. We had a crash a while ago, and then took us a while to figure out what we were doing. But we're going to relaunch Measures Chest, so it will have all your favorite measures in it. So you can go to it, search for construct names, and then find that measure, the site to that measure, a description of it. And to make that happen, I need you all to go to the website and enter your favorite measures. So we're going to sort of use the group mentality on this. Go to the website, and you'll see there's a link for it. It'll provide you a means to provide new information for a new measure. We have that's going to go to one of our student workers. Oh, where are our student helpers? Harry Jew, who will be taking the lead on this, and Chris Reyna, who will volunteer for more activities before he gets here. But they will be taking the lead on organizing it, putting it together, synthesizing it. We're going to really take advantage of the Research Methods community to get the Measures Chest back up and running. So I would really appreciate it if you just give yourself a homework assignment of adding 3 measures. And there'll be some overlap, but I think pretty quickly we can get it up to a critical mass and make it a useful thing. So that'll be a key issue with going forward, but the website is now set up so that we indeed can do that. Updates in general, membership has stayed relatively stable. We're at 2,309. We have 300 new members. We're at a net of down 13 people. So find them and explain to them why they are wrong. But basically, the division's doing well. We stayed relatively stable. We had a lot of good, I think, interactions at the new member orientation. So, we'll see what happens next year, but I'm hopeful that we continue to be a fairly large and strong division. I'll now basically turn it over to each of the different members of the leadership team and their different components, and I'll let them tell you about that. But actually before that, James, well, I cannot remember the order of things. James will give us an update about ORM.
Yeah, so thank you. I just wanted to give a brief update concerning what's been happening in the first year of my watch as editor at ORM. We've processed around about 170 submissions. I want to explain those numbers because they're a little deceptive. The acceptance rate is 5%, but that's 5% of all the 170. So I think when it's all said and done, we have 15 to 20% of the manuscripts that have been submitted are under R&R right now. So we'll probably be ended up about where Jose was in the 10 to 12, 15% range for acceptances. The impact factor stayed relatively stable. It dipped a little bit. But we're still one of the top journals, at least in terms of impact factor, in both the applied psychology and the management categories. We've got several featured topics that are forthcoming, one on mixed methods. We had a pre-proposal submission process there and had about 50, 60 submissions for that. Those are going to be reviewed, and then some of those papers will be invited for full paper submission. Video-based research methods is another feature topic that we have. The deadline for that's not yet for a few months. I've also got several other feature topic ideas in the works. One potentially around issues related to neuroscience methods and how those may or may not be useful for answering different research questions that we have as organizational psychologists and management scholars. But if anyone has additional ideas for papers that they would like to see, I'm very open. Shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to talk to you about ideas you might have for your papers or ideas that you might have for feature topics, those sorts of things. Any questions? So I get to do the fun part now. I don't know when this started. I don't know if this was on Larry's watch or when, but at some point, ORM, the editor at ORM, previous editor, decided to solicit input from the editorial board concerning the papers that were published in the previous year that they, members of the editorial board, thought might potentially have the most impact and the most important papers. Basically, what are the best papers and what are the ones that are most likely to have an impact going forward? And so I continued that tradition this year. I sent out a note to my editorial board, 70 some people, I think, AEs and board members, and everybody fired back 1, 2, or 3 papers that they really thought should get a little bit closer examination. I think there was probably 10 or 12 papers that were nominated, and then I looked at the different rankings and identified 3 that really stood out as being 3 of they were head and shoulders above these other ones. Not that they're not all great, but these were really great. And so sent those back out, and we just had a separate ranking for those 3. And so this year, we've decided to extend not only a Best Paper Award, but also to extend 2 runner-up awards, because the Best Paper emerged as the best paper, but the other 2, they weren't far behind, and so it was kind of hard to make that call. But we think all 3 are very deserving of the recognition they're going to get. The runner-up, there's 2 runner-ups. They get a slick certificate from SAGE. It's very nice. The Best Paper Award gets a slick certificate today, and we're even going to mail you a plaque. So that's great. So I want to do the runner-up awards first. The first one goes to Christina Hoon for her paper entitled Metasynthesis of Qualitative Case Studies and Approach to Theory Building. So, there we go. The second runner-up award goes to Herman and Happiness. Ryan Gottfredson and Harry Jew for a paper that they published entitled Best Practice Recommendations for Defining, Identifying, and Handling Outliers. I know I saw Herman.
Oh, video.
And the paper that really did stand out this year as one that really seems poised to really have an immediate and important impact was a paper entitled Advancing Multi-Level Research Design, Capturing the Dynamics of Emergence. And this was a paper that was co-authored by Steve Kozlowski, George Chow, James Grand, Michael Braun, Goran Gulden. So Steve is here. Are any of your co-authors here? They're not, are they?
Huh? No, I'm it. I'm the only
He's it.
representative.
So he gets to take home a stack of certificates.
Good competition. That's it.
Yeah, it was a great year, and these were all papers actually that Jose served as the editor on, so I just did the fun part handing out certificates. But it was really Jose that helped shepherd these through that process.
I get all the credit for them, as I think I've explained with
Hey, can I have that on?
Yes. That's the right one or not?
Got some math.
Anything else? Any questions? All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Now turning it over to the leadership, Dan Newman about the PDWs.
So we had 18 PDWs that we sponsored, 17 PDWs we co-sponsored with other divisions. This year we recruited some blue chip PDW presenters, you know who you are, and we ended up having more submissions than usual, so it made the system more competitive. The past 3 years our rejection rate had been around 25%. This year the rejection rate was closer to 50%. The attendance was up about 43% from 577 last year to 825 this year, and the average ratings were up a little bit from 4.4 last year to 4.7 this year with standard deviation of 0.2. The whole thing was made possible by graduate student volunteers who helped to run the PDWs. 6 people: Chris Reyna, Harry Jew, Gahun Iris John, Yihao Liu, and especially Bradford Baker and Kyle Bradley, who stayed for the whole time. So thank you, Bradford and Kyle, and everybody else. Thank you also.
Next up, a discussion of the scholarly programs.
Okay, so our submissions and acceptances for the scholarly program are pretty consistent with what they've been for the past few years. We had 68 papers submitted. Academy asked us to shoot for kind of a 50% acceptance rate, and we had exactly a 50% acceptance rate. We also accepted, 7 symposiums out of 10 submitted. It's a little misleading because 2 of those symposiums that were accepted, we weren't lead division on, so we just agreed to co-sponsor them. But we accepted 5 of the 10 that were submitted to RM for, again, a 50% acceptance rate. For the reviewers, my goal was to use as many of the people who volunteered as I possibly could, to give them as few papers as I possibly could, and then to also make sure that of the papers that were submitted that they were all reviewed by at least 3 reviewers, and in some cases they were even reviewed by 4 reviewers. So thank you very much to the 126 people who volunteered. We did end up using most of you, and those of you who served as emergency reviewers for me, especially, thank you very much. Then the last thing that I want to say as well that's not on there is, so Academy had us do, this was only the 2nd year that we did it, was a plenary session, which was, the whole idea was to bring together sort of the members of the division and kind of get some kind of conversation going. And we had that session immediately before this one. It was a group of very diverse method scholars talking about issues of meaningfulness in our research and how we decide what is meaningful. I would like to thank all of those people, many of you I can see attended that. Many of my presenters are here today, so I thank you very, very much for that. It was a very well-attended session. It was a great conversation, and so I would encourage y'all next year, whatever the plenary is, to make sure you go, because it was good. You don't want to miss it.
The RMV Consortium. Todd? Bring us home on this. What?
As many of you know, our weekend is pretty full with PDWs here at the Academy. So once again this year, thanks to what Lisa started last year, we ran an online doctoral consortium. And so it went very well. Karen Jensen and Kevin Carlson helped me organize it, helped me run it, which was very helpful. We made a few changes this year. We eliminated, last year we had quantitative and macro tracks. This year we just stuck with one track because it was getting too hard to schedule all the sessions and everything, and that seemed to work pretty well. It ended up with some very diverse discussions. You can see the 5 topics we had. We ran them online in May over the course of 4 weeks, and some very lively discussions. And I want to make sure I mention, or at least highlight some of the key people. We had 38 participants from 15 different countries, spread all over the time zone. So some of our participants deserve kudos for getting up at very odd hours and actually being awake and participating in the discussion, and some of our panelists as well, Brian. And thanks to our panelists, again, there's a lot to, you can see all the names here, there's a lot to list. Many of them are on our exec committee. I do want to highlight that James Breton gets the award for double duty since he filled in a couple times. And also, big thanks to CARMA for hosting and taking care of all the logistics. That was huge and helped us. And finally, thanks to Harry and Chris, again, for their help in getting this off the ground and running. It was very, very successful, lots of great dialogue. I know as I was moderating, I was taking lots of notes because I was learning a lot. So thank you to everybody, and particularly the panelists for volunteering their time with the CARMA. Thank you.
And those sessions were recorded, is that correct, Todd?
Yes.
So we're going to put the links so that you can see them. Again, that's going to be a resource that we're going to make available soon through the Research Methods website. Treasurer, turn over to Craig.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Craig Crossland. This is just the highlights of the finances for this year. If anybody's interested in more detail, you can pick up one of these. This explains more detail of this year and gives a bit of a historical overview of the finances. We have 2 major accounts that we work with. One is the operating account, that's for year-to-year expenses, and the endowment is for more long-term purchases. For the operating account, this year we carried over a balance of about $9,000 from last year. This was a little bit more than we expected. We had an expected expense of about $3,000 that we didn't end up investing in. We added to that $26,000 or so of a divisional allocation. The AOM gives us an amount each year based directly on the number of members, which is why those 13 members that Mike talked about, you've got to find somewhere between now and leaving. So together, in total, we should have about $35,000 in operating funds for this year. We expect we'll spend about $28,000 of that. As always, most of our expenses are incurred at the annual meeting, about $23,500 for that, and we have almost $5,000 in other expenses. The endowment account is pretty healthy at $35,000. So as Mike said, just a very small reduction in members, so our allocation next year will go down just a little bit. This year, the nice thing is the meeting-related expenses have gone down. It's much less expensive than Disney, as you probably imagine. So eat some of those canopies and the nice wine a little bit later, because it's much cheaper for us. So we're happy for you to take those. But the expenses for this year's meeting pretty similar to what we saw for the last few years, except for Orlando. Overall, finances are in good shape. Myself or any other member of the executive committee are interested in any ideas you have as to investing some of our endowment account. I can answer any questions now, or I'm available afterward as well. Okay, thank you.
Mark.
we proposed the fourth international conference. It's an opportunity for conversation across the Atlantic. First one had been initiated by Herman Hagenes in 2004, then 2007 with Mark Gavin, and 2011 with Lisa. And we propose to renew this conference, which enables sharing experiences on research methods across the Atlantic. Of course, in Europe and particularly in France, we have more traditional qualitative research method, and in particular as regards action research, participative observation, and so on. Of course, we are in the US stronger in quantitative, but we have to cross-fertilize, and will be an opportunity. So Brian, you will be the chair of the 2015 conference. We'll be on 10 and 11 June. So those who want to take the call, you are very much welcome. And take the opportunity for visiting a very old city, 200 years old, with Roman sites, part of the UN heritage, international heritage, Renaissance areas, and above all, the French cuisine. So, for those who want to say translation, simultaneous translation, French, English, and Spanish. We have a lot of people coming from Latin America.
Great. Recognition. So we have awards, both the paper awards and the divisional.
Very good. I always require a
Betty gets to go before you.
Oh, okay. I was going to welcome everybody.
Go right ahead.
But I need help, because one of them is somewhere around the room is my black folder that I left when I was talking to folks. I see that sitting around there. That's the one. Thank you, man. This is a job that's fun to do that you can't do with a lot of other folks. And we've got several people in the room who were part of this year's awards committee. If those folks who are present would stand. Thank you much. One, two, yeah, come on. You guys don't need to be so bashful. Bob Vandenberg, Steve Scullin, Steve Gove, Brian Boyd, Lisa Lambert, Karen Jansen, Jin Jang, and who am I missing, folks? Somebody else in there. My apologies if I missed you. That group really did yeoman's work this year. We extended the process out over several weeks to make sure everybody wasn't overwhelmed, and it took care of both our best paper awards for the conference as well as our major awards for the division, so we appreciate that. The other person I want to thank is Sage, and Cynthia, if you could stand up for us, please. Sage has been the key sponsor in these awards for a period of time, and we desperately appreciate your contributions to help make these awards. As you can imagine, these awards don't necessarily come just with paper, that there's actually paper with stuff that means stuff on it. A little bit of money that comes along with these awards, so we again thank Sage for that and their contributions. At this point in time, I'll invite Penny Richardson up, and we'll give away our best paper.
Okay, so the first set of awards that we're going to do are for papers that were submitted to the scholarly program. So these were papers that were very highly rated by the reviewers, and we took the tops of those and they went out to that committee, and then the committee decided who would be the best papers. So for the Sage Publications RM Division Best Student Paper Award, it goes to a paper titled Formative Measurement When Indicators Contain Error, Analysis of 10 Alternative Approaches, and that's by, and please forgive me if I don't get your name right, Miko Ronco of Alto University and Miguel Ignacio Aguirre Ureta of DePaul University. Yeah. I think so. We'll try to send it to him.
Or
Since
actually,
we
I'm
have
going
a
to send
little-
him something else as well.
Oh, well, okay, okay.
Since we know.
Thank you, congratulations. And then for the Sage Publications Art Division Best Paper Award, it goes to, oops, I've got an outlier in my data, what now? Using the deviant case method for theory building. And that paper is authored by Michael Gibbert of University of Lugano, Lakshmi Balachandran Nair of University della Svizzera Italiana, and Matthias Weiss of LMU Munich.
We'll go ahead and picture.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kevin, do you want my tie?
I should. That was a joke. We couldn't do these things without ties. The division gives away 3 major awards each year. They are the Sage Publications Early Career Award, the Sage Publications Robert McDonald Advancement of Organizational Research Methodology Award, and then our Research Methods Division's Distinguished Career Award. And so I'd like to present those now. We'll start with the Early Career Award. And the Early Career Award this year is Nathan Potsikoff. The next one is the Robert McDonald Advancement of Organizational Research Methodology Award. This year's winner, and this is why I needed the book. Get this right because I won't remember it otherwise. This year's winner is not, I remembered this part, James LeBreton and Janelle Center-Whitmer now for their 2008 paper entitled Answers to 20 Questions About Inter-Rater Reliability and Inter-Rater Agreement, published in Org Research Methods. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And the last one is our RMV Distinguished Career Award winner. Unfortunately, that person isn't here for one of the first times in a very long time. Paul Spector is this year's winner of that award. Very deserving, and in his classic humility, Paul says thank you. Sends his best to the association, and is very honored to be receiving this particular award. So you can, if you want to tweet him or email him or do something other to let him know, it'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you very much.
Lisa was our outgoing division chair, who ran the elections.
Well, the primary duty of the outgoing, the past chair is to run the elections. And we are welcoming Karen Jansen for another 2 years as a member at large. Chris Byron, who previously served 3 years as treasurer, consented again and is coming in to serve a 3-year term as member at large. And John Kammerer-Mueller is coming in for the 5-year leadership track, and I saw Dan Newman prepping him for a good hour and a half today. What he needed to do next year. So thanks to everyone who ran. We never put up bad candidates. We never do. So it's always hard when somebody loses, but we'll probably tap people again. That's usually the way it works. And thanks to everyone who voted. It's really important that you participate in those votes every year, and we appreciate that. Thank you, and welcome to our new office.
And with that, I
You are just so eager, aren't you?
I'm going to go find some bonbons. I need them, and I turn it over to our new division chair, Brian Boyd.
So this is like year 6 for me, I think, because I did the rep at large before and without a break, and so it's all cool actually. It's not nearly so bad as it might seem to be. But I don't have a whole lot here because I'm now I think the only thing between us and food and liquor and drink coupons, right? So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things I want to focus on in the coming year. I was recruited into this crazy place largely with the idea of doing more outreach to different types of populations. Historically, there haven't been a lot of macro people here. At the anniversary ORM luncheon that they had, like when it was the 10-year anniversary, the 2 macro people on the board sat together and huddled for safety. And, yeah, it was me and Don Berg, and then they were like all these other people that do stuff we didn't really know. So things that I'm focusing on is trying to do more outreach with other communities to broaden our membership and also broaden the utility of the things that we do. Strategic Management Society, this is like a really cool thing. We have created a research methods community at SMS. They've been having me do panels and workshops, and we've had really good support from RM people. So Lisa has come and done stuff for us, and Bob Vandenberg and Larry Williams and Herman McGinnis in the past. And we've had really good turnouts at all those things. We actually did a plenary methods panel at SMS for the first time ever, and people showed up and it was packed, and folks were surprised. And that was cool, so they provisionally created a research methods interest group. We've got Herman and Jeff Edwards are going all the way to Madrid at great personal hardship this fall to do stuff for us, and so that is really, really very cool stuff. There's a lot of opportunities for the Methods Division to do things to other populations. IACMR does these research methods workshops. Mr. Kozlowski has been at least the last 3. Well, you've only been to 2, so I've been to more than you. Ah, okay.
I didn't know we were keeping score, but
they're really hard, brutal workshops for the faculty, and Steve and other folks have been in multiple ones of those. SAGE supports these types of things too, and so like for the last IACMR workshop, we created a virtual special issue where we bundled together a bunch of ORM papers, put them outside of the paywall. SAGE created links so the students could get those, and we had, at the Shanghai meeting, there were a ton of people there. There were just a bunch of Chinese doctoral students and assistant profs. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to try and promote the division to different geographic populations, different functional populations, and it does mean that we have the opportunity to do things with ORM to try and publicize that. And so if you have ideas for those types of things, please, that would be very cool. Andreas Schwab was very instrumental in the creation of this research methods community at SMS. And so if you see Andreas, thank him, because SMS is complex and serious and largely unknowable, and he was yeah, there you go. It's what they do, but it's pretty cool. Stuff going forward. If you have never pitched a PDW or a symposium or a panel or something, please do that. We talk about our blue chip presenters, but we also have things that are really awesomely good. Having done main program in PDW before, we get some really good stuff from people who pitch that for the first time, and we are actually very helpful to, or willing to be helpful to put these things together. I know the year I did PDW, we gave exemplars out of PDW proposals that we've had in the past, and we can do that with symposia as well. We basically just sit around and wait for someone to call or email us and say, God, could you really help me put together an awesome PDW program? And our PDW program chair for this coming year is just like salivating, waiting to help folks. No, I'm very, look at that. I mean, we have been ringing bells and showing PDFs to him just repeatedly, and he is primed to go. If you have ideas for stuff, please, talk to us about those, and we will help you refine those as best we can. We did lose 13 people. Shill shamelessly for the division at every opportunity that we have, because there's cool resources. I did this at the SMS meeting last year, and I was on this plenary panel with Mike Hitt, and Mike said, you really have no shame. And I said, no, I have memory sticks with ORM best papers and brochures for how you join the Research Methods Division of another professional society, but hey. There's really good resources, and so doctoral students, junior faculty, tell them about the PDWs, tell them about the SAGE discounts, tell them about RMNet. And somebody said in the executive committee meeting, basically, if this means joining another division, it costs you $10 to get good methods advice for your dissertation, and that is an absolutely smoking return on your dollar. I mean, you will not get anything better for $10 than getting through the methodology section of your dissertation. And when you're thinking about shilling for research methods, remember it is more than just the conference stuff. ORM, we have a relationship with CARMA, and so have a good fight in your departmental meetings about why is ORM on the approved departmental list when other journals that have substantially lower impact scores are there. Well, that's fun. That's just a heck of a time. Piece of advice, the way that I did it, I just went and became a department head. And we do it by fiat. So I just told my faculty, ORM is now on the A journal list. And they said, well, do we have a choice? And I just told the dean, and there you go. So those of you who are not department heads, please go work on that, get it on the list. It is awful. Actually, a lot of people in the executive committee were talking about this. We've got, 4 department heads and an administrator, and we are just gluttons for service. And so if you take leadership roles, you will become administrators, and that is just a bonus, because that's like a happy place. So in addition to fighting with your colleagues to get us onto your journal lists, also go to your doctoral program coordinators and ask them why in God's name are they not subscribing to CARMA, because there are awesome webcasts there. And we are all here to do substantive research, and these tools, everything, make us better at doing that. So push for those things. Don't be embarrassed when you do it. I have no shame at all in pushing for this. You should just revel in it. Thanks to Sage again too, because like a lot of these things that we've been doing, they've just been super helpful with that. Thank you very much. I'm done. Food was less expensive this year, which means that we have lots of it, and so we even had some better alcohol this year, which, if you remember anything from my tenure in the leadership, remember that we had better alcohol this year. And maybe even a carvery, I'm not sure on that one, but yeah, there's a lot of food, and it's, Craig was very helpful with all the budget planning stuff. Done.
I just want to say one last thing. I know I shouldn't, I'm out of order. But Lisa is stepping down as our division chair. Lisa has been student rep, then treasurer, then rep at large, and then leadership track. So she's been doing this for 28 years. A long time, and I think longer than anyone else who has ever served on the leadership track. And I just want to particularly appreciate and give a round of applause to Lisa, who knows everything. And it's great to do all future 5-year reviews, which is really, really great. Don't buy a drink. We have drink coupons. Let's go there, I think. We're in Independence Speak. Next door. So see one of the leaders for a drink coupon.